The universe operates on a flawless, unyielding mechanism. Every action you take is weighed, measured, and eventually paid for. At the end of that absolute system sits Yamaraja, the Lord of Death, the inescapable enforcer of cosmic law. This diagram shows the architecture of karma. It is a closed, perfect loop, where an equal reaction is mathematically guaranteed for every single choice. Sin demands a penalty. Virtue earns a reward. There are no exceptions and there are no loopholes. But then the machine stalled. A man named Ajamila lay dying. He had lived a life entirely consumed by vice, and by every law of the cosmos, Yamaraja's agents were completely justified in dragging his soul to hell. They arrived to claim him, but right at the very threshold, they collided with a blinding opposing force. The agents of Vishnu, the Preserver, stepped directly in their path and physically blocked the enforcers of death from taking the soul. The dying man had done exactly one thing. In his final moments of panic, he called out for his son. But his son's name was Narayana, a name of the divine. He simply whispered the syllables, and that alone triggered an absolute pardon. Yamaraja's enforcers retreated, utterly humiliated. They returned to their master with a terrifying question. Has the universe glitched? Or is there a completely different set of rules running quietly underneath the one they enforce? Yamaraja gave them an answer that shook the logic of their reality. He revealed the existence of Bhagavata Dharma. This is an extremely subtle, highly confidential law of sovereign devotion, and when it is invoked, it completely supersedes the standard rules of cause and effect. The strict mathematics of cosmic justice do not sit at the very top of the hierarchy. They can be entirely overridden by a higher law of love. And to prove it, Yamaraja named 12 specific historical entities, the 12 sovereign devotees who actually lived it. To understand how this higher law works, we have to look at what we normally consider the ultimate finish line of spiritual practice. And for that, we look at the first 4 sovereigns, the Kumaras. This chart shows the traditional ascent of spiritual progress. You climb from basic duty through good karma up to enlightenment. At the very top is moksha, the total escape from the cycle of birth and death. The Kumaras were born already standing right there. They were totally liberated from the moment they drew their first breath. Their father, the creator Brahma, assigned them massive duties to help populate the universe. They refused. They chose complete celibacy and contemplation, wandering the 3 worlds as 5-year-old children with 0 possessions and 0 obligations. They rested in a state of absolute detached freedom. Then, at the gates of Vaikuntha, a breeze carried the fragrance of a basil leaf resting at the Lord's feet into their nostrils. In that moment, these fully liberated sages fell into a surrender vastly deeper than the freedom they already owned. Escaping the painful cycle of life and death is not the ceiling of spiritual existence. Even a mind perfectly free of all worldly attachments can be pulled further up and further in by the gravity of pure love. But what if you aren't a wandering sage? The most common excuse for avoiding spiritual practice is that the sheer weight of daily life makes it impossible.
We tell ourselves true devotion requires abandoning society. That argument collapses when you look at King Janaka of Mithila. He was a man tasked with the staggering complexity of running a vast kingdom. He governed, he managed the economy, he dispensed justice, and held a plow in one hand. He carried more heavy, real-world responsibilities than almost anyone alive. Yet, wandering ascetics who owned absolutely nothing traveled from distant lands just to sit at his feet and learn how to hold perfect inner stillness. He was eventually given the title Videha, meaning the one beyond the body. He proved that you do not need to hide in a forest to reach the absolute. You can achieve total liberation right in the middle of a noisy, crowded royal court. The path of Bhagavata Dharma belongs to no specific lifestyle. Whether you are a king or an ascetic is entirely irrelevant. True spiritual sovereignty is a matter of inner posture, maintained completely independent of the chaotic world spinning around you. It is one thing to maintain your devotion during the stress of daily work. It is another to hold that posture when the world actively tries to destroy you. Imagine being violently thrown from high cliffs, cast into roaring fires, and submerged beneath the crushing weight of the ocean. Now imagine sitting perfectly tranquil in the center of that violence, entirely unharmed. That was the reality for Prahlada, a 5-year-old boy enduring relentless systematic torture orchestrated by his own father, the tyrannical demon king Hiranyakashipu. The boy simply kept worshipping Vishnu. Eventually, the tension snapped. The universe moved to balance the scales in a violently explosive fashion. From a stone pillar in the palace hall, a divine form emerged and literally tore the abusive father apart. What happened next is why Prahlada is counted among the sovereign devotees. When offered a divine blessing, the boy did not celebrate his safety. He did not celebrate the cosmic justice. The child who had been brutalized looked at the divine and prayed for the salvation of his torturer. That is what true sovereignty looks like. It places pure love above every single human grievance, shattering the universe's foundational logic of reward, punishment, and revenge. We return now to where we started, to the cosmic court, the confused enforcers, and the list of the 12 entities who truly understand this supreme path of devotion. We know 11 of them, but the identity of the 12th sovereign resolves the cosmic mystery. The final name on the list is Yamaraja himself, the very Lord of Death who opened the inquiry. Think about the profound humility required for this moment. The ultimate, absolute enforcer of karma, the judge of all beings, officially records that his own cosmic legal system is actually secondary. These 12 figures function as the active, eternal spine of the universe. They inhabit every cycle of creation, grounding the cosmos in a law that remains steady while kingdoms and mythologies fade. The verdict of the death god is clear. True power doesn't come from enforcing the rules, or escaping society, or ruling a kingdom. It comes from ruling yourself through pure, unbroken surrender, a love that shifts the very foundation of reality.